What is going on, everybody? As I'm trying to scarf down my salad, man. I've been at it all day. Uh, Again, welcome back to the handoff. Got a special guest in the house, just like with all the other guests. This is a very special guest. He's had me on his show before, and we're talking about JT Sports, man. Guy that I respect a lot for the grind that he puts in. Outside of a lot of content creators that talk about being consistent and all this other stuff, my man has stayed consistent, just like we stay consistent, always pumping out content, and definitely deserves more subscribers than he gets. But before we get to JT, man, let me go ahead and get Sora up in here, everybody's favorite co-pilot on this
Yes,
thing.
it is I. I'm not the special guest. I'm just here.
Yeah, been rocking with y'all know Sora. Been rocking with us for years at this point. No special introduction for him.
No, but it'd be nice.
Let's go ahead and get JT in here. My man JT
Yo,
Sports.
what's good with y'all boys, man? How we living? How we feeling today?
Hey man, I'm blessed just like every day, man. Another day to talk football. Had some great guests on earlier. And now you're like the main event, I like to say. We got the main event for last. So
Yeah, I seen you been at it all day. You been having a football marathon.
yeah. Yeah. The only reason it can happen is because my wife's not here today. So
Yeah.
I had to schedule everybody. I'm like, let's go ahead. Let's get them all in today. So yeah, man, another day to talk football is always a good day. So for the people that don't know who you are, man, tell us how long you've been in the game, why you started your channel, and I know you went to school for this too. So go ahead, just talk about yourself for a little bit.
Yeah, man. So I appreciate you guys having me on first and foremost. And yeah, I've been at this for a while, going on like 8, 9 years. I first got on this platform when I was in 10th grade. It's crazy because the first video I made was about the Patriots benching Malcolm Butler. I was only like 14, 15 years old when that came
Yeah,
out. And now I'm just
this
trying
before you
to.
had braids or dreadlocks, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Everybody in the comment section always talk about the character development from no hair, low ski, fade, growing my stuff out, the wigs. I guess you call me a Super Saiyan Florida boy at that point.
Yeah.
Then I got it braided up now. Yeah, so it's been definitely been at this for a while. Just recently created 2 new channels, NFL, college football. So we'll be trying to bang those out, grind those out for the next 2 months, and got something professional that I'm working on as well that you'll see me on. Also, I can't really speak too much on the details, but you guys
Yep.
definitely will be really familiar with it. And yeah, man, I just love football. I live, eat, breathe, and sleep football. That's not hyperbole. Like I really mean that shit. It's nothing else I'd rather do in this world but talk about football, college football, NFL. Don't really know too much about the UFL. They ain't really pushing that as hard as what they used to. It's crazy
Hmm.
because The Rock brought that thing, and yeah, it's kind of looked like money wasted. So,
Yeah,
hey,
we covered
man.
it the last couple of seasons, and this year is just we wanted to just focus mainly on college and the NFL, man. Like
Yeah.
it it's a lot of change. It's a lot of players that we're obviously all of us are familiar with because we follow college football and things like that, and the NFL. But yeah, just to add something else onto our plate, it's like if we add UFL, then might as well just add the Canadian Damn Football League onto
Well,
it.
and
So
it was also, we started off like we did the 1 week of UFL and we were looking at it and it was like, that was about around the time we were starting sliders and Dante had like banked out 3 of them in a row and it was like, yeah, we can't divert attention between that. All of it's just got to go to sliders. So we'll just skip UFL this year.
yeah, man, yeah. So we brought you on here to obviously talk about your channel and who you are. And like I said before, I got a ton of respect for you for the work that you put in because you made that video about having the long nights and all that. Like, brother, if anybody understands, it's me. I get it, man. I work a full-time job. Like, I'm a director in our IT department for my job. So it's like I'm working 50, 60 hours while pumping these things out too. So if anybody understands the grind, man, it's definitely me, and it's definitely a slow burn. I've always liked you because it's like you keep your opinion just like we keep ours. Like you're not gonna divert from it unless proven otherwise. And you know, one of the things, and I know it blew up on Instagram and stuff, but how much you rock for Colorado, and then that Oregon came around, and
Yeah.
kind of change your perspective on things. But it's like we need things like that. You know what I'm saying? Until proven otherwise, you got your opinion, but you have a well formed opinion. Where do you kind of get that from? You know, is it just I watched the game, I know these players, and I'm form my opinion, and then just stick with it? Like, where does that come from?
Man, I tried to be neutral when I first started this, but I said there ain't no point trying to be neutral because people pick a side for me anyway. So it's like no matter how unbiased you try to be, people gonna say, "Oh, you a
It's just
fan of this
everything.
team, you're a fan of that team. Oh, you don't like this team, you're a hater." So I was like, "Okay, bro, y'all gonna call me a hater anyway. I might as well just lean into something." So
Yeah,
that's just how I got to the point, just having opinions. And sometimes you look good and nobody says anything, but when you're wrong, everybody's there to shoot and holler how much of an idiot you are. So I guess it just comes with a territory. The good thing is, I will say this: I am right more times than I am wrong.
facts. We have a high shooter percentage as well, and you know, me and you talked about this before with the Bo Nix thing. I wrote the pine for Bo Nix, and a lot of people uh, crickets now. It's like,
Yeah,
Well,
we still haven't heard from the Sean Payton got made by Drew Brees crowd. We still waiting for the apologies. He was right about everything. Remember what he said about Nathaniel Hackett?
yep. It
yep.
was, and what's funny too is we deal with it as well a lot. I'm sure you deal with that as well. They like to bring up every time you're wrong, but they never say anything about the times you were right.
Because that list is too damn long to remember. That's
Correct.
why. Yeah, it's easy to write down. Oh, he was wrong about this, but like the percentage of how many times we were wrong before how many times that we were right. Still, the matter of the fact is, the normal person doesn't watch college football like us. So, you know, a lot of people's opinions don't really matter to mine. You know, to me, it's like you're just an NFL dude. I know these kids since they're. I was at the Elite 11 a couple of weeks ago watching these kids spin the rock. Like, we pay attention down to the
We were
bones,
both at
man.
Elite 11.
How many times do you log into 247 Sports a day, JT?
Man, I'm probably on that thing religiously, checking the transfer portal, checking the recruiting rankings. I was just on that thing the other day looking at Bill Belichick putting in work on the recruiting trail, putting in work in the portal. Oh my goodness, they got money and they letting it fly over there down in Chapel Hill.
Yeah. Yeah, for sure, man. It's gonna be interesting to see what they pan out. Let's get over to the Steelers side, because I know you've been very vocal about the Aaron Rodgers thing and everything. But like my wife's family is big Steelers fans. You know, I'm a Jaguars fan, but the the whole aspect of the Steelers and how they drafted up to this point and missing out on quarterbacks round after round after round, just to obviously the direction that they're pointing in, drafting Will Howard as late as they did, is they are waiting on Aaron Rodgers. I mean, it's so obvious that a blind man can see it at this point, right? But I know you said time and time again, I'm gonna switch damn teams if they do that, because this is obviously, it's either time for Mike Tomlin to really get smacked in the face with the reality that maybe it's just he's not the guy anymore, or if you drafting Will Howard or you got Mason Rudolph, you need to stick with one of them instead of bringing somebody in that just doesn't know the system and everything. But like, kind of give me your layout of like the Steelers at this point in time, because I know you've been very, very vocal on it.
The Steelers are like McDonald's, old, outdated, and they just don't have the ability to adapt with the modern times. Aaron Rodgers just came out the other day and said that he didn't make no guarantees about suiting up for the black and gold this year. And minicamp is just around the corner. And the Steelers are going to make the same mistake that the New York Jets did. I can't see Aaron Rodgers coming in here looking like the bad man that we grew up watching for so many years in Green Bay, where he isn't going to have a lot of time to get chemistry and timing down with his teammates. You're only going to have a few months to really get to know your teammates for real. So I just don't really get the whole decision by the Steelers to go all in on trying to recruit Aaron when he's just a guy who beats to the beat of his own drum. And at this point, with George Pickens getting traded, which, I am still upset with that, regardless of the character issues. If you're going to
I
bring
agree
in,
with you.
Yeah, like if you're going to bring in Aaron Rodgers, you want him to be throwing the DK Metcalf and George Pickens. You feel me? And now with you getting rid of George Pickens, you might as well not bring in Aaron Rodgers, because I thought the Steelers could have at least won a playoff game this year if they kept that duo with DK and Pickens, with A-Rod. You like your chances. Now you just got DK Metcalf, who is really overrated, if we're being honest. For his size, you think he has the same skill set as a George Pickens. No, he's just a really good yak guy. He isn't a good route runner. He doesn't win contested catches for somebody his size. And then you know, like, you don't really have too many other weapons now. So at this point, bump Aaron Rodgers and bump Mason Rudolph too. We know what we getting in Mason Rudolph. This dude is a backup quarterback, low end starter at
Will
worst.
Howard season, baby.
Yeah, it's like, listen, I get Will Howard was a third day selection. You feel me? And there's a high chance that maybe he doesn't turn into that franchise guy. But here's how I look at it. You might as well go ahead and roll the dice on him. Let's see what he has. And if he stinks, we'll be bad enough to be in the top 10. We get that Batman Lenore Sellers out of South Carolina.
Let's go. I'm there with you.
I was gonna say
Lenore Sellers
Klubnik,
season, baby.
Sellers, Alar. There's so many good quarterbacks here.
And everybody other than Drew Aller, please no.
Oh,
If
okay,
they draft Drew Aller,
Come
just go ahead and give me the bleach bottle right now, and I'll drink it proudly if that's going to be
All
the
right,
case.
man.
Yeah, but it's like, I don't want to see Mike Tomlin get fired yet. I just want to see him get a franchise quarterback, and don't let him pick it. You feel me? Just let Amar Khan go ahead and make the decision for him, because Mike Tomlin is just Stevie Wonder when it comes to quarterbacks. Now, the offensive line should be really good.
It's true. It's so true.
No,
I told my
it
wife
is
about
true.
this the other day. I said, you have to think about this. You drafted Mason Rudolph just to keep Ben Roethlisberger for 2 years that he didn't need to be there, because we respect the guy that he was. No, it was and JT, you know it as well as I do. Stevie Wonder could have seen that Ben Roethlisberger should have been retired 2 years prior to when he was. Like, there's no shame in that, dude. You've
And then
accomplished everything that you can.
Wasn't he also the like COVID emergency quarterback, even though he was retired? It's just like let
And
the
he
man
told
stay
he
retired.
still wanted to play. He's still telling people that he still wants to play. No, you're not coming back, Ben. Like, chill out, man. And do
He
your
can be the
thing.
OC. He can be the offensive coordinator.
Yeah.
So I mean, I did kind of piggybacking off of that. You know, you're talking about how you were upset about the George Pickens trade and all that, and you wanted to see both Pickens and DK Metcalf. This is a guy that we saw in college and also at the Senior Bowl. How are you feeling about Roman Wilson? You think he's going to be able to emerge as that number 2?
I like Roman Wilson a lot. He's a smooth route runner. It's just with the quarterback situation, that's just going to hold everybody back, unless Will Howard really comes out and starts slinging that rock like how he was at Ohio State. When Will Howard has some weapons around him, he can do some damage. It's just, you don't know how that's going to equate to the NFL, but he's in a pretty good situation. What really irritates me the most when the Steelers are talked about is this narrative that the offensive line stinks. No, it doesn't. Like, the Steelers have invested more draft capital the last couple of years into the offensive line than anybody. Zach Frazier was a first-team all-rookie selection. Mason McCormick made the all-rookie team last year. Our first-round pick got injured like the first game into the damn season.
Yeah,
You feel me?
I'll say your past like 2 out of 3 of your past first rounders have all been on that O line. They've been gearing up for a while. So
yeah. Like Broderick Jones, I don't know. A brother can just hope. You feel me? But you got
He's Jawan Taylor 2.0, the way he calls
please. Hey, if you move in the guard, I think he'll be really good at guard. He does have that kind of athleticism, but it's like at the same time, he hasn't been completely bad. Now the defense, I'm really excited about the defense, man. I love the selection of Derek Harmon. I was really upset that we passed on Shador, but I didn't know that brother was going to fall the way he did. So I was like, man, you get this monster. Because when you watch Oregon play last year, they got a lot of super freaks on that defense, man. They look like the West Coast version of Georgia up there in Eugene, man. And you look at Derek Harmon, how he was moving for a guy of his size, and you look at the comparisons. They said he's basically the second coming of Cam Hayward. And when I was on NFL.com, they said Derek Harmon is your prototypical Steelers/Ravens kind of player. And if the Steelers passed on him, the Ravens definitely would have scooped him up.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And the way that situation happened with his mom and the way that Cameron Hayward came in.
Pretty much was like, I'm gonna take him under my wing.
Bro, I mean, if you wanted a guy to get gelled with your team immediately, like that, it's unfortunate. I mean, obviously none of us would want that to happen to a person that we care about or even to ourselves, but like the way that they embrace that kid right away, he feels like he's a veteran already. Like, and that's like, and of course we could say what we want about the Steelers, like being 9-8, 9-8, 9-8, like every damn season for the past 10 years, it feels like. But there's premier programs in the NFL consistently, and it's been the Steelers, it's been the Ravens, and it's been the Packers. Those three organizations are the most well-run organizations out there, and I don't think anybody can say anything. Everybody's dealt with their bad period of time. Even the Patriots, when Tom Brady left, they were buns. Like, and so you can't throw them in that conversation. But 9-8 is still a above 500 season, regardless of what people say. As a Jaguars fan, I would have loved us to go 9-8 every single season since we've been a team. Ask the Panthers how they're feeling right now. I mean, I think Dave Canales is turning that thing around, but like they're, 11-5 or 11-6 every single season, and then they go damn barely winning a game. So, if it wasn't for Cam Newton coming in there, there was a question here. Oh yeah, this is
I was gonna bring that up, and then he commented that.
What you think of TJ Watt wanting to be traded? I think it's BS.
TJ Watt hasn't asked for a trade. The media keeps trying to manufacture a TJ Watt trade. The Steelers are going to pay him. The Steelers don't trade guys who have been part of the franchise for a very long time. And tanking does not work in the NFL. Oh my God. I got to rant about this. Tanking does not win championships in the NFL. I don't know how many times you people need to get yelled this in your face, but no team, the last time a team tanked, it was the Cleveland Browns. Remember when they hired Hugh Jackson? They went all analytics, they traded everybody, and they ended up sucking forever after. That's why tanking doesn't work. It takes more players to win in the NFL than it does in the NBA. And even then, tanking in the NBA doesn't work. You can't name one single team that has tanked successfully in the NFL. The Bengals tanked for Joe Burrow, and they still haven't gotten the Super Bowl out of it. The Dolphins were tanking for Tua, and look what that's gotten them. Nowhere. So tanking doesn't get the Steelers nowhere, and trading TJ Watt is something that will be against everything that the Steelers are about. They're all about keeping their core guys. Like, they had Brett Kiesel, Troy Polamalu, and Ike Taylor for years together. So the Steelers are all about family, and they're not about to trade players for the sake of, trying to tank. That's not even who Mike Tomlin is. And you can say what you want about the lack of postseason success. I will lose all respect for this team to just go all in on trying to lose on purpose.
Yeah. Especially when it's like, and we mentioned earlier, they gave Roethlisberger 2 more years when he should have been gone. So it's just like, you think TJ Watt, they're, if, not the best, like top 3 edge rusher. Yeah. It's
well, and here's the thing. All of us up here know ball. All of us here know ball, right? And for the common person, the one thing that drives me crazy is stop comparing TJ Watt's value to Myles Garrett's value, because they play 2 totally different positions. Yeah. One plays a traditional defensive end. The other one plays outside linebacker. You're never going to see Myles Garrett get an interception. He doesn't drop back in coverage. TJ Watt does, because he's an outside linebacker. So when we, when we're comparing all this stuff, like TJ Watt is the man as an outside linebacker. He's if you wanted to, and you can't, nobody in the comments or anybody else out there cannot sit up here and say that the Steelers have gotten an all-time talent in that dude, and he's done what he was supposed to do for years. And if you had to build an archetype as an outside or a weak side linebacker, it would be TJ Watt.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
And another thing that irritates me is I just saw somebody in the comments say this. TJ Watt has never won a playoff game. Trade TJ. The draft is a year away. And even if you have another first round pick to trade up, that doesn't guarantee you a franchise quarterback. You don't trade proven commodities for unproven commodities. You can find a franchise quarterback at anywhere in the draft. The Ravens got Lamar Jackson, the last pick in the first round. Jalen Hurts was a second round pick. You don't need to give up proven assets when the Steelers do trade up for a quarterback next year, because they have more than enough draft capital to do so without trading TJ Watt. You want him on that team so you can win quickly whenever you get your rookie quarterback. That's why I keep telling people it's no sense in rebuilding when the Steelers truly are a quarterback away. You don't want to rebuild and all of a sudden you drive Lenore Sellers, and who is he throwing the ball to? Does he have a good defense? No, you don't need to trade TJ Watt. You don't need the tank. Like, tanking does not work in the NFL. Y'all blow me with this. Y'all blowing me with this in the comment section. Tank. Good franchises in the NFL do not tank. Have the Chiefs tank? No. Do the Ravens tank? Do the Bills tank? You can't name a single franchise that has won the Super Bowl over the last 3 decades that has tanked. Show me when tanking has worked in the NFL. For all you folks in the chat saying tank, get rid of TJ Watt. Tell me the last time a team in the NFL tanked and it worked. It doesn't work.
I'm about to back up your point.
By the way, just because in case anybody says it, the Eagles losing that game, getting them Devontae Smith does not count. That was not tanking. Because I know somebody's about to say that.
So here's the thing to back up your point, and I've always said this. I don't know if you've heard me say this specifically, so I'm gonna repeat it for everybody here. Quarterbacks have devalued teams more than they've helped teams ever in the NFL. And here's why I say this. If you had the draft where you said all quarterbacks can only be chosen in the second round or later, people would value your teams more in the first round than they ever have. Because there's so many valuable players outside of quarterbacks that have helped turn franchises around than a quarterback has. And so if you were to do that philosophy and only choose them in the second round, people would not be prone to trading their first round pick. Because I absolutely think bro, I'm a Jaguars fan. I hope Travis Hunter does good, but the value that we gave up for that kid is going to ruin us. The Browns capitalized. Carson Schwarzenegger, Harold Fannin Jr., Quinshon Judkins, Dylan Sampson were their first 4 picks because we traded all of and Mason Graham over the first 5 picks because we traded so much to them. They were able to capitalize on these players. So if the Browns are good with the stacked quarterback room that they have right now, one of those guys is starting. It's inevitable. Like one of those guys is starting. And you know what they're getting right now is competition, because Joe Flacco's like, I'm not here to coach nobody. Kenny Pickett's trying to prove himself again. Dylan Garrett's just trying to prove to everybody that he is an NFL quarterback. And Shedeur Sanders got chosen in the 5th round of the draft. All those dudes got a chip on their back right now. So the Browns are going to be a better team this year. So I agree with what you're saying. That tanking bullshit has got to stop.
Somebody said the Texans tank. Lovie Smith literally went for a Hail Mary and took the Texans out of position to get the number 1 overall pick. Nobody in the NFL is trying to tank. If you have a high draft pick, you literally are just that bad. The Texans did not tank for Will Anderson either, or they traded up to get Will Anderson right after they drafted CJ Stroud. And the Detroit Lions didn't tank neither. They just were that bad. And you still didn't really address my question. I asked you, when is the last time a team in the NFL tanked and won a Super Bowl last year? The Lions didn't win a Super Bowl. The Lions haven't won a championship in 60 years. They got sent home by Jaden Daniels.
The only team that I can ever prove to you
that's the number 1 seed,
because we don't know if any team has ever tanked, but I can tell you the closest team to tanking for a player was the Jacksonville Jaguars. Prove me otherwise.
They've been tanking for a decade.
2017, we had a Super Bowl caliber team in the last 60 games. And Trevor Lawrence 60 games, he is no better than Blake Bortles statistically. Blake Bortles is more accomplished than Trevor Lawrence. It's just facts. So we tanked for Trevor, and he went down with the ship. And we've given that dude every single weapon that anybody could ask for, and he still has underperformed because of what you're talking about, JT. We tanked for 2 seasons. For 2 seasons, we talked about getting Trevor Lawrence. For 2 seasons. That is the only team in NFL history that has ever proven that they've tanked. And I'm embarrassed to say that. It's crazy. Let me get over to the comments real quick and shout out some people. Big Pun, Raider Shield families in the chat. Chuz NFL Gaming News. Dana's in the chat. The mob mother herself. Clemson alumni had a great comment. I appreciate you saying this. So did Chuz. Great show every time, bro. I appreciate that. Y'all need to collaborate more often. Damn good content, fellas. Hey, this series is coming back, man, and we're gonna have JT back on here probably in the middle of the season to go on a tangent about something.
Somebody tell this man the Colts did not tank for Andrew Luck. Peyton Manning broke his neck.
Yeah, they had no other choice but to move on to the next guy.
Just because these teams get the number 1 overall pick doesn't mean they tank. Most of these players have to. All these players aren't trying to lose. They're out there playing for pride. They're playing for their jobs. They're paying for incentives in their contract. Nobody is intentionally trying to tank. If you're bad, you're just that bad.
Yeah.
Other than the Miami Dolphins, and Brian Flores said, there's not enough money in the world you could have offered him to tank.
Right. Yeah, exactly. It's crazy. It's crazy. I put JT's link up in the chat, and I will put it in the description of this video too. Please go subscribe to his channel, man. I can't say enough good things about you, man. And some of your rants throughout the season just had me dying laughing, man. I got to see the more shirt off content where you're yelling at the TV. Those are some of the best ones, man. But I love how passionate that you get, man, because a lot of us are always like that. And for those that don't know, Sora is a part of ECG. So there's no other link but this one. Yeah, you got the hat on right there. But it's cool to talk about the Steelers and everything, man. But I know you do a much more than that as well. We could talk about college football to our next pop off here, but kind of going into this season, man, you're on the Lenore Sellers train like I am. Shout out to him. We did our top 10 quarterbacks, and there's some people that have some quarterbacks in their top 10, like Luke Altmaier. How do you feel? How do you feel about that? Like, I'm not a Luke Altmaier guy, but people are saying that Illinois is going to be the next Indiana.
Luke Altmaier in the top 10 to draft.
yeah, top 10 quarterback to draft.
Listen, I've never seen a quarterback improve more rapidly over these years than I've seen Luke Altmaier. When he was at Ole Miss, and then his first season at Illinois,
he looked bad. He got replaced like 5 times that season because he was doing so bad.
Yeah, but last year though. Okay, I was like, I tuned in on a few Illinois games, like when they played Nebraska. I was like, okay, Lenore. I was like, okay, Luke Altmaier. I don't know what the hell got into you. They had the most improved player award. It had to go to him last season because he definitely did look pretty good. And if he keeps on improving, then I don't think he'll be a first round pick, but he definitely could be like a day 2, day 3 pick.
I compare him to Kyle McCord. As far as his value, 6 or 7 round pick sounds good.
Now, Illinois as a team, though, they definitely do have the capability of making it to the playoffs. Because the thing with these playoff projections that I keep noticing, the common mistake is they're picking a lot of the same teams from last year. We have 12 teams now. The chances of getting nearly the same field we got last year are incredibly slim. When you look at the impact of conference realignment, there are going to be teams that get left out due to, new teams emerging. There's no longer a huge gap between the elite teams in the conference like Georgia versus the rest of the SEC. You know, like Ole Miss beat Georgia last year. You know, Kentucky nearly beat Georgia, and they beat Ole Miss. It's like anybody can lose in any season.
DJ Legway didn't get injured. Florida would have beaten Georgia.
Most likely, bro. But
Yeah.
it's just like there's just so much volatility.
Had to add that in there real quick.
It's just so much volatility in these conferences that you're going to constantly see new teams. You're not always going to see the same field outside of Ohio State, Texas, and Georgia. Those are pretty much the only teams that are guaranteed locks every year. You bet money on they're going to make it to the playoffs. So I can see Illinois getting in.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not saying that they don't have the hype because Brett Bielema has showed you that he's a conductor of a train, bro. Like both sides of the ball are going to be playing pretty similarly to each other, and they're always going to be moving. This comment is wild right here. I'm gonna just let you know what has Lenore Sellers done or one that deserved the hype. He's more Jamarcus Russell than Lamar Jackson. First of all, last year was his first year starting. He had some injuries. They damn near, because of him in that defense, they almost beat LSU if it wasn't for that BS play. The call at the end of the game.
Back,
they almost beat Alabama too.
And it was because of Lenore Sellers. If y'all don't think the hype of Lenore Sellers is real, bro, it's gonna have Nick Harbor, Dylan Stewart on that defensive line. Jalen Kilgore is coming back. Like they got some dogs, man. South Carolina might be the most, just like last year, they might be the most fun team to watch this year. And a lot of it, I'm gonna just put it like this, Big Pun. I don't know what you're talking about because I seriously doubt that you've ever seen Lenore Sellers take a snap. Because he looks like the best quarterback in the country at times.
They also beat Clemson. They also beat Clemson as well.
JT, do you agree with me here? I said this throughout the season. I said I've never seen a guy this good at quarterback that can make things happen since Cam Newton. He reminds me of Cam Newton, bro.
Against Clemson, he single-handedly won them that game. He had 18 broken tackles. That was the most broken tackles in a single game by any player last year. That was more than what Ashton Jeanty did when he broke 14 tackles against Oregon. So Lenore Sellers single-handedly won them games against Clemson, Missouri. He improved drastically throughout the season. The first couple of games, it was a little bit rough. And then once he took those goggles off, the Eric Dickersons, and he went with the contact lenses, you just saw a completely different player. He was the hottest quarterback in college football at the end of last season. Him and Cade Klubnik. I wasn't the biggest Cade Klubnik fan, but oh my goodness, you can't tell me that young man wasn't throwing dots against Texas. He was starting that defense up.
Bro, you weren't the only one. A lot of people, and I'm a former coach and player, bro, and I've watch film like crazy. I went back and I watched Cade Klubnik from 2024, and I said, yeah, he about to light everybody's ass up next year. And that's what he proceeded to do. And people are like, oh, no, you don't know what you're talking about. Cade Klubnik sucks. I'm like, okay.
It's also, we've done that. We kind of knew last year was going to happen with Cade Klubnik. We kind of saw all this hype going through, and we sat up here as well being like, this dude, if he goes out and has another amazing season, this dude could be the number one quarterback taken off the board. And also shout out Lenore Sellers season.
Lenore Sellers season, baby.
Yeah, like, even if Arch Manning comes out, I still would take Lenore Sellers, even though Arch is a way better athlete than anybody in his family up to this point. I was really surprised how fast he was moving, and they were using him on design running plays pretty much. But the upside with Lenore Sellers is immense, and the hype is definitely justified. And I still keep seeing a lot of mocks having Drew Aller going over him. It just enrages me so much because if you watch Drew Aller over these last couple of years, he always has played bad against the best teams that Penn State has gone up against. The accuracy isn't there. The decision-making, you saw the decision-making on display when he had the opportunity to win the game against Notre Dame. He throws the ball late across the middle, which is the biggest no-no for any quarterback. They coach you not to do that back in Pop Warner, back in middle school. Yeah. And, this Penn State hype train in general, if there was ever a duo, I would bet my life against winning is James Franklin and Drew Aller. That combination, I'm sorry, you got to prove me wrong. I got to see it to believe it with them.
Yeah. Well, Big Pun, unfortunately for you, bro, you're not bringing any facts to what you're saying. I mean, hype around Jameis Winston was the only freshman to win the Heisman and a national championship ever. So him coming out as
And that was even before the LASIK.
yeah, that was before the LASIK. So what are we talking about, bro? Like,
I think
if you don't know the hype of Lenore Sellers, you just don't watch college football, and it shows, bro. This comment just says, I've never seen him play before, because everybody in the country, from Joel Klatt to the beat writers out there, know that Lenore Sellers, he might be ranked 8, 9, and 10 on a lot of people's lists. He was number 1 on mine. He might be the number 1 guy coming out next to Cade Klubnik this year. And let's not even talk about homie from Arizona State and Sean Levitt. I don't know if y'all seen the clips of him in practice lately. He might have the best arm in the country.
Hey, John Mateer, you put me on to John Mateer now.
I'm about to say John Mateer, Sam Levitt out there. Yeah.
Yeah, bro.
People sleeping on Oklahoma this year. That's one of the new playoff teams I feel we'll get this year. Either them or Florida.
Oh, please be Florida.
Yeah.
God, if you're listening.
Dude, if you're trolling, I mean, we're just gonna block you, because like this is ridiculous. Like, the hype was real on Jameis Winston. Sometimes people miss, and sometimes people just don't perform. But Jameis Winston always finds himself on the roster every single season. So his career ain't that bad. So you can't compare him to Jamarcus Russell or any of these other quarterbacks.
Big Pun is a big troll. He was the dude who was spamming all about tank.
And yet could be one of the same people that was like, oh, Shador's a can't miss. Dude dropped to the 5th for a reason.
Yeah. I mean,
people want to scream racism, collusion. And I love Shedeur Sanders. You know how much I love Shedeur Sanders, but I never got more hate and more backlash for just admitting the truth about why he fell. Like, if he did the interviews properly, he would have been a first-round pick. That's the main reason why he fell, because I was reading what anonymous college coaches were saying about him, and pretty much all of them said that, yeah, he should at least be a serviceable starting quarterback in this league. Like, they interviewed a bunch of anonymous coaches, and even they were a little bit shocked about how far he fell. And then once it came out about the interviews and whatnot, but you know how a certain group of people want to add towards things. They want to say it's racism and whatnot.
You're a true fan because you can bring facts to the table, and you have your opinion on what you see, and that's what I like about you. But these other people, man, they'll say racism. The amount of times I got called Uncle Tom in the last 2 years is absolutely outrageous. They think like I had something against my own race, but I got Lenore Sellers ranked as my number 1 quarterback this year. Like, what are we doing?
There was no winning for me. I was screwed from the get-go.
Yeah,
you want to know what disgusted me the most? Shedeur was the biggest story of the draft, but when Cam Ward went number 1 overall, the number 1 pick, by the way, the dude who single-handedly resurrected Miami football, the only reason Miami had a shot at making it to the playoffs, and we let him down because we didn't have a defense. He goes number 1 and gets no screen time. It's just Mel Copper yelling about, how can you pass Shedeur Sanders? Sanders. Oh my goodness, bro.
Even when he got drafted, like, it was still like,
I was just
what was he said? Like, the NFL hasn't been able to evaluate a quarterback in like X amount of years, and
that was the most reach like comment that he said the whole night.
Yeah,
it's like, okay, then why did Lamar Jackson and Josh Allen were the 2 MVP favorites last year? The guys that you didn't have ranked highly, obviously.
Then he said Jimmy Clausen was going to be an all-time great.
Yeah, he was like, if not, I'm gonna retire.
He should have retired, bro. Like, I don't know.
Still waiting on that news.
Man, I changed the channel to the telecast they had with Nick Saban breaking down the players and whatnot. Like, I can listen to Nick Saban talk ball all day.
Yeah, Nick Saban is one that I would just love to be in a room with and just pick his brain about everything. I even go back, like, and watch the old seminars from like back in the 90s when he was with like LSU and Michigan State, like, where he's going through like how he breaks down the cover 4 and why he likes using it so much. Like, I just love listening to him talk because it all makes sense. He's one coach that when he says something, it makes sense. It's not hieroglyphics. It's not like we had to have some special formula to figure out what he's saying. And if you don't get it, then it just is what it is. So I don't know, man. It's crazy. This you said this big pun, dude. Why are we even talking about Jameis Winston at this point in time? And again, you brought no facts to us to tell us that Lenore Sellers doesn't deserve the hype because you just never watch college football, bro. I don't know what to tell you. And the success of a team doesn't define the quarterback, or else we wouldn't have Josh Allen in the NFL. He played at Wyoming and they suck balls. So just is what it is. But let's get over to the Miami Hurricanes, man. We got Carson Beck that's gonna come down there and do his thing. I have really high hopes for Carson Beck. I think a lot of the hate that he gets is even from last year is not deserved. Having one of the highest drop percentage teams ever in the history of college football last year with Arian Smith, who I don't understand how he got drafted so high. Dylan Bell was dropping everything too. And then you had Oscar Delp, who was supposed to be the second coming of Brock Bowers that just didn't show up. And then Trevor Etienne, who just great running back at times and sucky quarterback or sucky running back at other times. I don't know. He dealt with a lot of
injury history, or not injury history, but he was injured a lot.
Yeah, and injuries too. So when it comes to your outlook on Carson Beck and some of the things that we want, you know, that you foresee in Miami, because it's funny. I'm a Florida State fan. So is a Florida fan. You're a Miami fan. We got
the big three in the state right here.
And that's funny. That's funny because I've been covering like all three teams, and it's just Carson Beck has had a hell of an offseason for somebody who's yet to throw a pass. He's yet to really practice with the Hurricanes because of the elbow surgery he just had. Tommy John, I believe that's what it's called. It was the same.
It was Tommy John.
Yeah, thank you. It was the same procedure Brock Purdy went through like a year ago and whatnot. So I don't really know how good Carson Beck is going to be. I think he'll be solid considering what Miami has. One of the top 10 offensive lines returning into this season. You should have some pretty good receivers. I got a homeboy that I went to FAU with who just transferred down to Miami. And you are going to have a dominant rushing attack as well. So everything is set up for Carson Beck to have a really good season. And I think the good thing about Miami getting Carson Beck is that the team is better overall to where they don't need him to be what Cam Ward was last year. Cam Ward was so good that he masked a lot of inefficiencies that Miami had. If it wasn't the defense, it was Mario Cristobal and his questionable clock management. Carson Beck is going to have a really good defense. They brought in a lot of good players from the transfer portal to improve that secondary. They got the number one cornerback in the portal from Wisconsin. Even though they went about getting him controversially, they pretty much bought him off of Wisconsin. Wisconsin is still trying to figure out how they can, dispute that, but it's the NCAA, so nothing's going to happen with that. They got James Brantley from Michigan State, who I love a lot. He had the second lowest passer rating allowed in FBS last season. So they got a lot of bodies in the secondary room, and they also got Corey Heatherman, who comes from Minnesota. He had the top 10 defense and points per game allowed. So Miami should be good enough to win the ACC this year. There really is no excuses for them not being able to. You should at least make it to the CFP this year. You may not be able to beat Clemson, even though I do think Miami has a better team than Clemson. But the expectation definitely is playoffs or bust. ACC championship or bust for this team. And if not, then, somebody's going to have to lose their job. And Carson Beck, I don't really think the season comes down to him having to play great. He just needs to be solid enough to not lose Miami games. And Miami should definitely be in the running for, winning this conference.
Yeah, I think overall, this is the year that they have to win the ACC, or at least be in the championship game with Clemson. There's no other way to slice it. For Mario Cristobal's sake, he can't hang his hat on. Okay, the only time I felt any type of like real success in the ACC was when Cam Ward came. That would look really bad on the things that he's done thus far. And all of us know, like, I know you've been pretty critical of Mario Cristobal, but one thing has to be said, like, he is part of that Saban coaching tree. He did do his thing at Oregon, and now you're at another premier school in Miami, and it's time to put up or shut up and show that you can do it with a guy like Carson Beck, who has won and been in those rooms with the other quarterbacks that have started in a national championship. So it's just been a little disappointing thus far in his career. And then getting hurt last season probably gave him a different perspective as well. So yeah, I'm super excited to see what they do this season. And it's crazy that you guys have only been to one ACC championship and never have won.
It's crazy that they've been in this conference for this damn long and haven't won an ACC championship
like
at all.
Year 28 or something like that?
Yeah, something like that. I'm losing count now.
Yeah. Yeah. So let's get into the straight seeding has happened for the college football playoff, and they're talking about moving us probably next season over to a 16-team playoff, with the SEC and the Big 12 or the Big 10 getting 4-team automatic bids into the conference championship. I mean, how do you feel about this much change? Because, like, I feel like 12 teams is perfect. Like, the way that the schematics are, and some of these teams are never, ever going to touch the top. Like, we're looking at Kennesaw State being a new team from last year, or Delaware being a team this year.
Missouri
We're not
State.
It's unlikely that Delaware or Montana State or Missouri State or any of these teams are going to be in the college football playoff ever. But when you extend this to having 4 automatic bids for those 2 conferences, if you move up, you just stranglehold even those teams being an at-large team later on. But what's what's your outlook on the straight seeding, and do you think it's perfect? What do you think we should go to?
If we're going to 14 teams, then okay. 16 is just nah. But at the same time, I feel it's a bigger picture in play than just the seeding, just the SEC wanting more guaranteed spots because they want more revenue. I feel within the next 2-3 years, we're going to see college football separate themselves from the NCAA completely. When you have control of the postseason, you control the sport. That's why the SEC and the Big Ten want those auto bids, because now they have overall say in who gets in. And then plus with you controlling the postseason, the NCAA has nothing to do with the CFP. They have nothing to do with the media rights deals that these conferences negotiate. So with their inability to regulate college football in the new NIL era, it further has shown how outdated they are and why we need new rules and new oversight for this new age that we're entering now in college football. And not only is the SEC and the Big Ten able to influence the playoffs expanding, but they're influencing who gets in and who gets left out pretty much. So it's never been a better time to see a breakaway from the NCAA as the current time that we're in now. Now, of course, how is the Big Ten, the SEC going to regulate themselves? We really don't know. But Brian Kelly, I don't know if you saw his comments, but he said that he wants to play a Big Ten team every year. And the ideal schedule that SEC coaches want is that you play 8 conference games, 8 or 9 conference games. You have 1 Big Ten game, and then you have 2 out of conference games. That's just up to the schools, where you probably schedule your G5 schools and whatnot. Now, what's going to happen when college football breaks away from the NCAA? It's not going to be all of college sports breaking away from the NCAA because of March Madness. It brings in nearly $1 billion per year. So that's the only thing that will keep the NCAA afloat. But in terms of college football, expanding the playoffs wasn't just about more money. It's a power move. Think about it. The Big Ten and SEC have so much pull that they literally influenced the playoff format. And they said, if you don't agree with us getting these amount of teams in, we'll take our ball and we'll do our own thing. Nobody wants that. So they just had no choice but to, agree with it at this point. Now, what's going to happen when we get this Super League, which will be the NFL's equivalent to the AFC, NFC, is that the Big 12 is going to be a power conference because the ACC is going to implode. You feel me? FSU, Clemson, they already won out. They will get out eventually when this Super League forms. Miami, Clemson, nobody really knows where they'll go, but you have to think one goes to the Big Ten, the other goes to the ACC or the SEC, whatever. UNC, Virginia, probably be some schools that somebody will scoop up, but then the rest will just go to the Big 12. The Big 12 will be the island of misfit toys, pretty much. If you're just trying to stay afloat, you're going to the Big 12. Now, the G5, nobody really knows what's going to happen, but more than likely, they're going to get left out. Notre Dame will be forced to join the conference just because, you'll be passing up on a lot of money if you don't. And then, two, you're just be staying with a dying ship that is the NCAA. So that's just how I feel big picture playoff expansion is, or what I think playoff expansion is going to foreshadow. I think it's just more than the SEC wanted more money. I feel this was more about them asserting their power over the sport. And even Greg Sankey said, I got people in my room asking me, why are we still a part of the NCAA? I don't think he just made that comment as a threat. I think
he's a pretty chill dude for the most part. So for him to say something like that so publicly, it's pretty.
It's moves making behind the scenes. And then with Brian Kelly saying, "Yeah, we want to play Big Ten teams. We want to form an alliance." The moves are being made behind closed doors.
Yeah, I always said that the NCAA has got, especially football, in the stranglehold. I don't care what they do in other sports, but for football, it's got to be different. And because they play less games too. I mean, we have a 14-week schedule with a bowl game, with a conference championship, and then 4 more weeks for the college football playoff now. So that's less games than any other sport plays in the country. So when we're really looking at this too, is everybody wants us to go back to regions, and I don't know how to realign this whole thing. But if you're keeping all 136 schools, unfortunately, there was an idea for somebody to say that every school should be independent. That's going to cause a total disaster, because what people are going to do is, how are you going to circumvent the issue of everybody being Notre Dame, where they're just going to beat up on the little kids, because you can't keep an undefeated team out of the national championship after that. There's no way to slice that. So I always thought about, and I was thinking about this the other day. If we split the country up into 4 different quadrants, you got your West Coast team, which was pretty much all your Pac-12 and half of the Big 12 and half of the Big 10, and your East Coast teams, your Mid-American teams, and then right under the Texas, Georgia, Alabama, all the way to Arizona, New Mexico, all those would be like your Sun Belt type teams, right? And you play all the teams that are there. Everybody has to schedule. You get a 10-week schedule. We keep the 12, it's 12 weeks, but a 10-week conference schedule. But you have to play 2 group of 5 schools that are there. And the group of 5, they have a 8-week conference schedule, and they have to play FCS school and schedule 3 other, big schools in that. And you do that through all the conferences. And then the winners are the at-large guys from all of those. I guess you could do a 16-team. Let's say we did a 16-team playoff. 4 teams make it out. All your conference winners get a first week bye, and have them duke it out for supremacy. Because that's what all the traditionalists, all of us that never talking about college football, that's what we want to see. Why is West Virginia in the Big Ten or the Big 12? Why? They have to make an unnecessary move. The biggest one right now is Cal in the ACC and Stanford. They got to go all the way across country 3 or 4 times a year to play these teams. SMU's in Texas got to play ACC teams. So if we kept it like that, and then at the end of the year, everybody starts traveling to neutral sites or whatever it is, you could split literally and everything's run by the TV stations, right? So there's always a prominent TV station in all of these quadrants. You work with that major station or the major network, and you figure out your money there. There's going to be somebody that comes up with a similar idea. I see coming down the pike. That's not the NCAA, and money's going to get split a certain way, and everybody's going to be forced to do this. But you can't keep Notre Dame out of it, and they're going to be forced into it too. And NBC is going to be the East Coast network. That's what it's going to be.
But you see, like, I still believe we're going to go for Super League format just because the SEC and the Big Ten already have so much power over the sport. I couldn't see them willing to sacrifice that. And that's why Notre Dame is going to be forced to have to join the conference, because when the new media rights deal is up and like 2031, somewhere around that range, if we do get the formation of these super leagues, which will happen, you know, it will happen. I think it's going to happen a lot faster than what's expected. With these players pretty much becoming employees, you're going to have to figure out a collective bargaining agreement. NBC gives
They're
Notre
going
Dame
to have a union.
Like, exactly. So NBC gives Notre Dame $22 million for their media rights. But with the Super League, teams are going to be making, at least when they split it up, 80 to maybe 100 million a year. NBC doesn't have that kind of pockets. And two, Notre Dame isn't going to have the option to say we still want to be independent, because people forget the playoffs is invitational only. So if Notre Dame isn't a part of this Super League, how are they going to get access to the playoffs if they're not going to be able to play the teams within it? And the NCAA is already a sinking ship. It doesn't make – and Notre Dame's AD literally said that they would join the conference if them not being in the conference or them staying independent compromises their chances of being able to compete for a national championship. And that's why Notre Dame, when we get the formation of these super leagues, I keep telling Notre Dame fans this, there's no way you're going to be able to stay independent in this. You either pick a side. You're going to die with the NCAA when it comes to college football, or you're going to join with everybody else and be a part of this super league. There really is no in between with this. And if Notre Dame has the option to join, they will be welcomed with open arms to the Big Ten. And that's pretty much the only place they're going to go. The SEC won't take them because the SEC is the only conference in college football that follows regions. So it's like they won't join the Big 12 because Notre Dame is above the Big 12. They're too prestigious to be in the Big 12. Plus, they still have to play the best of the best to get in. So when we get the formation of the Super Leagues, it'll be the Big 12, it'll be the SEC, and then it'll be the Big 10. And then the G5, they're going to have the ultimatum. Either they get their own G5 playoffs, or they get one team allowed to be in. You know, they'll have like the big teams schedule a few of them throughout the season. And then if they want to sue them for, you know, unfair competitive regulations or whatnot, they can sue them. But all the Big Ten and SEC got to do is just change the qualifications to the playoffs where they don't have a shot at getting in. And no matter what happens, eventually you are going to see like the death of Olympic sports like wrestling, volleyball go extinct, because it's not going to be a huge break when everything just disassociates from the NCAA. Football would be the first one, and then it would just be a domino effect. The only thing keeping it alive right now is March Madness, how much money that brings in. That's the only reason the NCAA will still be around. But in terms of college football, the Big Ten and the SEC have already planted the seeds for this Super League to form. Yeah,
that you make some really good points, man.
It's like they got the Infinity Stones, bro. Like they got the Infinity
Stones. Yeah. The NCAA and the conferences themselves have made this such a mess that it's hard for them to circumvent how to get out of it, right? It's like it's like we pumped so much money into this, and we don't want it to go to waste by all these because eventually what's going to happen is everybody's got to come to an agreement of how we can not lose as much money as we put in, and that's the TV networks, right? And they have to figure that out. They're not going to want to lose money. Like, you signed this agreement, and we just seen this with Florida State. Florida State literally backed out of the deal that they had because they fought tooth and nail, and there was a loophole there, and they're like, you can't really go, so you're going to be part of the ACC for 3 more years. It just is what it is until we come to a bargaining again on what we're going to do.
An agreement of sorts.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I understand from that standpoint, but like, it seems like these TV networks, it's going to be hard for schools to fight them. And
well, especially when it's like, even before all the, like before NIL, there was there's been multiple shots for teams like, again, Florida State to join the SEC. And again, even like way back when, I think in the 90s, there was a chance for both Clemson and Florida State to be in the SEC. Maybe not the 90s, but like early 2000s, maybe 2010s. But like, there's been multiple shots for a couple of these teams. And again, like we said, with NIL and TV deals, man, it's going to be interesting.
Well, the Big East used to be a really big part of it. Like, it was almost like they were in competition with the ACC. Like, without the Big East, they just became ACC prime. That's basically. I mean, they have it with basketball and a couple other things, but like, it's not the same. Like, football is handled so differently than every other sport, and it's kind of ridiculous because it's a pool of spaghetti that everybody's trying to find themselves out of.
And we had something similar to the Super League with the College Football Association. That was back in the 80s, early 90s. And then when that kind of got outdated, that's when everybody went under the NCAA umbrella. I saw somebody said, so what happens to the U when both the SEC and the Big Ten are going to want Miami with open arms? Just because the U has been down for years, they still have one of the biggest fan bases in college football, and they still do draw a lot of ratings. Like, Miami is going to be a part of a conference, bro. Like,
that's like if Nebraska say we're going to be a free agent. Regardless if they sucked or not, their history is so deep. Everybody knows the red in wherever you go. People are going to remember the Tommy Frazier days. Like, it just is what it is. Like,
and if Northwestern and Vanderbilt are part of the Big Ten, the SEC, why wouldn't they want Miami?
I'm about to say, yeah. Miami,
if anything, they'll kick those conferences out for Miami.
Well, I mean, listen, he's a Florida State fan. I'm a Florida fan. We both hate the U, but like, let's be real, dog. There's no way that would ever happen if they're like, we're just not going to take Miami.
No, put it like this: if Florida State and Miami said we are free agents, you don't think the Big 12 would be like, or the SEC would be like, all 3 of y'all are coming here, we're kicking Missouri out? Like, a team has got to go, and it's probably going to be them. Because
it's like, you got to look at it as well outside of football. Like, Vandy baseball wise, that's what keeps them in. Like, Miami's got good, softball, baseball as well on top of everything. So you look at all sorts of sports. Yeah, Missouri would absolutely get kicked out from Miami.
They were a late ad anyways. They're so new to that conference. Like, Vanderbilt's got, and especially now that they beat Alabama, like, everybody wants to see Dylan Pavia and
that new stadium
again, and a new stadium. Yeah, they've, like you said, baseball is way too deep for them to even pull out. But the
same thing with Arkansas there too.
Yeah, but the SEC with all 3 of them in, the one thing that people don't understand, when Texas and Oklahoma came over, what else came over with them?
Yeah,
the rivalry game.
All 3 of those rivalries, like, that's yearly rivalries. Those are
week 7, week 8 of the season. You're getting a Red River rivalry every single year, and it's a sold out game, and it's nationally televised for everybody to see. And now you're in the ACC, so you even add even more hype on top of it because they're rivals in the best conference in football. That game is probably going to have implications. I can see this year when they play. Well, I told you about John Mateer. JT already said, hey, you put me on a John Mateer. John Mateer and Arbuckle being there. And Texas, they're probably going to be undefeated by the time they get to that game. And you don't think that game is going to have the most implications out of any game this season. I'm even talking about Penn State in the whiteout game against Oregon this year. Ain't nobody gonna care. They're gonna be if you had both of those games at the same time on the same day, people are watching Texas, Oklahoma.
OU Texas, yeah.
Like let's
Let's keep it real. Yeah, let's keep it real.
Let's keep it real. Hey man, this has been a great discussion. Let's answer this question from Raider Show fam. He said this earlier. Let's hear your take on who's the odd man out at quarterback with the Browns. If Sanders will it be a shit show? JT, I'll get you a take on this one first, man. Who do you feel? I mean, out of those four, somebody's got to get cut. So
man, it's going to be Kenny Pickett. They're not about to cut two rookies that they drafted, especially Shedeur. Like the idea of Shedeur getting cut is outrageous when really it was the owner's decision who.
Yeah, the owner kind of forced that pick happening.
It's so obvious.
And then plus, bro, like I don't see how Shedeur doesn't start because the owner drafted him. The owner knows that if the team isn't good this year, he needs to find a way to keep guys in seats. How do you still keep fan interest high when the team isn't good? You get the son of prime. He's going to sell tickets. He's going to sell jerseys. His jersey already is the highest selling in the NFL. And he's a 5th-round pick. So by that time, we get to week 10, week 11, the Browns are 2-8, 2-9, or they're just not competitive. You're going to see Shedeur Sanders in there just for the fact that that's who most of the fans want to see, rather if it's the root for him to succeed or root for him to lose. We will see Shedeur Sanders in at some point. So I think Joe Flacco probably gets to start early. Joe Flacco,
he lives.
Yeah, like he'll definitely start. Shedeur be QB2. Hell, like I've been seeing reports saying Shedeur's been tearing it up. Hell, I had a homeboy that got invited out to the Browns rookie minicamp as a UDFA, and he told me on the phone that Shedeur was miles better than everybody that was there, including Dylan Gabriel.
I heard Dylan was tearing it up too. I heard that like
I've heard both.
I heard both the rookies have been doing awesome. So it's a great problem to have.
And it's just for Kenny Pickett, bro. I think he'll get cut and he'll get picked up for somebody quickly. Rather, they just need like a quality backup. Maybe he goes to the Saints or somebody like that. But it looks like Kenny Pickett will be the odd man. Now it's just tough to cut two quarterbacks that you invested draft capital in.
Thank you for the free pick.
Yeah, for sure. And
they get a comp pick for that?
The Eagles will, yeah.
The rich just keep on getting richer. Absolutely outrageous. Man. All right. So before we get out of here, man, JT, appreciate you coming on, man. It's been a hell of a day of us talking about football. Definitely got to do this again in the middle of the season, especially when Lenore Sellers is tearing everything up. I've already banned the one dude that was talking crap anyways for what he said. So he already got it. He's at the block party right now. I told him that we got food and drinks for everybody. So hopefully he's enjoying himself. But what is your outlook for college football, man, as far as who do you think are the two best teams that you think are going to end up being there right now? Pre the JT preseason poll, who are the two teams?
Right now I got Texas. And then I think we see Clemson get back. Clemson has two of the best interior defensive linemen in college football. One of them is Peter Woods. I believe that's his name. I forgot about the other one. They returned a lot of production. They mainly had a lot of underclassmen that were on that playoff squad
and
last
Tom
year.
Allen is there now.
Exactly. They got the best coaching staff in college football. Don't forget, you got Lincoln Riley's little brother calling plays, OC Gary Riley.
Yeah.
You got Cade Klubnik as a super senior pretty much. So I got Texas and Clemson in the national championship. Texas should be able to run the table this year. Oklahoma will give them a run for their money. That could be their only loss. But Texas is just miles better than everybody else because they're the only team in college football that really has depth. Like with NIL in the portal, it's hard to have a 2 deep. Texas does have a 2 deep. That's why they've been able to rotate a bunch of defensive linemen in, and they're buying up all of the good ones. So I got Texas and Clemson for the national championship. I think this is the year that Texas wins it all. bearing, Steve Sarkisian runs and Kalen DeBoer. Don't want to see him.
Yeah. And Kalen DeBoer, for all the hype that's coming around with Ty Simpson and even up there at Ohio State with Julian Sand, man, like, I don't know if you guys seen the clips of him throwing the ball lately.
I saw him in the spring game. He was mild. They keep saying it's still quarterback competition.
Ryan Day does this every freaking year, and it drives me crazy. You remember with Kyle McCord, it was him and Devin Brown. And then when Will Howard got there, it was Will Howard, Devin Brown.
And now that, it was CJ Stroud and somebody else.
And Quinn Ewers. Like, well, it's like, what the hell? Like, we all know. I think Ryan just likes to mess with people's heads. Like, come on, dude. A lot of people were saying that Steve Sarkisian, though, that this was kind of like the Penn State situation where it's like win or bust. And I don't necessarily see that, because I think if they get close, I think Arch Manning is the type to stay one more year and get them past the hump. Because you got to think about it. This is his like official first year with him taking first team reps, throwing to those receivers for the first time. CJ Baxter's coming back healthy this year, which a lot of people don't realize how big. If CJ Baxter was a running back last year and Quinn Ewers was healthy, we're talking about a national championship probably for Texas again.
And the running back they had last year was really good.
Yeah. They had Jaden Blue, and they had
Wisner.
Wisner. Yep. Yeah, it was insane. It was insane.
But I do feel it is a kind of a James Franklin situation with Steve Sarkisian. Even though I wouldn't really. It kind of is, because with having Arch Manning does come with expectations. You at least got to win the SEC this year. Anything less but an SEC championship would be a disappointment for this Texas team, because they're the only team in the SEC that you can definitively say just has a talent advantage and a huge one against everybody they play. Like Georgia, Florida's closing the gap with them. And a lot of Georgia fans keep denying it. But that was a close game up until the final 6 minutes, and Florida was on their fourth-string quarterback. So the gap between Texas and the rest of the SEC is incredibly wide. Other than that, you got Georgia, and then everybody's up there neck and neck, just because they're the only team that really has that elite depth.
One of the most interesting teams is Texas A&M, because Marcel Reed and now getting KC Concepcion, like, people don't understand how big of a move that was. That dude might be a Biletnikoff winner.
They returned their entire starting line. They're top 10 in returning starters.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, yeah, you look at it, and it's like we mentioned with A&M, like Marcel Reed, Concepciones, Georgia right now, they got to figure out what their QB is going to be. But they're always going to carry a top-notch defense, be a top team.
I think they regressed this year, man. I mean,
I hope.
I just don't know. I mean, this is the most weary of a quarterback situation that you'll ever see with Georgia.
But I still don't believe they'll regress because of how good Kirby Smart was, because they could have regressed last year. I felt the job Kirby did was eerily similar to what we saw Nick Saban do his final year, because nobody really thought they could have went that far as what they did with Jalen Milroe. It wasn't even looking that pretty at the start of the Jalen Milroe tenure. If you would have said at the start of the season that Alabama would have found the way to beat Georgia and to come like a gold line stand short of beating Michigan to make it to the national championship.
A bad like botched snap, yeah.
Yeah, you had a bad offensive line. The defense really wasn't the greatest. Like, I give Kirby Smart the benefit of a doubt. That's why I say Georgia's a lock. Even with their quarterback situation, it's just like, that boy Kirby, like, you can't count that boy out. Don't let him see what you just said, neither. I know you see those pregame speeches. Come on now. Don't act like you wouldn't run through a brick wall after hearing one of those things, Dante.
Oh, I know. Kirby, Jimbo, there's only a handful of coaches that, like, if I was still in high school and they came and talked to me, that I would play for. Like, I love that Jimbo Fisher was all in somebody's face. Like, I love that about Kirby too. I love that about Nick Saban. And a lot of people don't like that hard coaching, but I always liked it. Like, Yeah, tell me what I'm doing. Like the Sean Payton and Bo Nix thing last year when Bo
Yeah,
Nix
where
got
Bo
in
got in
face,
his face. Yeah.
I was like, yeah, that would be me right there.
I do
Like,
have 2 questions I want to ask you before we get up out of here.
yeah,
You
yeah,
can
for
you
sure.
can kill 2 birds with 1 stone. How do you feel about LSU? Because I'm not denying that LSU has a top 5 roster. But my concern kind of does lie with Brian Kelly. But I'm willing to give him
Yes.
the benefit of a doubt because he showed at
Yeah.
times at Notre Dame when you've given him good teams, he can produce. And my second question is, bro, what are you going to make of Bill Belichick at North Carolina? They have an easy schedule. Their 2 toughest games are NC State and Clemson. That's about it.
Yeah, I think the hype that Garrett Nussmeier is getting is warranted, but I look at the fact that like Kyron Lacey was such a talent, man. Such a talent. Like even 2 years ago when we watched film of Malik Neighbors and Brian Thomas
Brian
Jr.
Thomas Jr. Yeah.
Sore remembers me saying this. I was like, Kyron Lacey might be better than both of them, and we just don't know it yet. But rest in peace to him, man. And with Garrett Nussmeier, if he can, and I watched a lot of that film like in the past week, man. I did a live watching and I don't know if he can fix those first quarter issues that he has. He starts off making these wacky little throws, these inside routes, hitting them in the knee pads. I'm like, what are we doing?
I think it's also going to be interesting to see because he lost his obviously,
Mason
top 2
Taylor.
weapons the previous years before, but he's lost Mason Taylor, Kyron Lacey. Obviously, is not going to be there. Rest in peace to him. But we also look at the O line that he's lost as well. So I feel like that's going to be very,
yeah,
that's going to be very
Campbell,
telling. Is he going to be able to carry it?
Yeah.
Well, I'll say this.
I don't even think it was a super team, but now that the team's depleted, how's he going to?
Their receiving core should be better than what it was last year. You got Aaron Anderson, the team's leading receiver back. You remember? I know y'all know about Barry Brown.
Yep.
He's at LSU now. And they got
Patrick Payton from Florida State.
They got I don't know about him, man.
Yeah, I know he's cheeks, man. Good luck.
Their offense though, they got Nick Anderson from Oklahoma, and they got this 6'7" monster named Trez Green, who is what Kyle Pitts was for Florida. He's 6'7", 6'8", 240 pounds, but he's more fluid than Kyle Pitts to where he can actually play wide receiver. I don't know who the hell is finna guard this.
It's all up to Garrett, man. I just don't know if I just don't know if I trust him. I trust him yet. He's got the size and the arm. I saw somebody had him ranked number 1, and I'm like, it was on the same list as the Luke Altmaier at 10, and I'm like, bruh, what? They didn't even have Lenore Sellers in their 10. I was like, what are we doing? Yeah, it was mind blowing. The Bill Belichick question is interesting, man, because I don't know.
Yeah,
it's like you would love to see Bill Belichick there with Omarion Hampton and Drake May, though. That if NIL was as prominent as it was, I can't say one thing though. Financially, with the way that Bill Belichick was a GM and bringing Lombardi over and having his son there, financially they're going to be great to say. It's going to be hard to say no to Bill Belichick. It really is. Whenever you're on a recruiting trail with him, like, first of all, you're going to convince him with this, and then
I got the pedigree.
He's what I say thought, no to me. Like,
yeah, like the thing is, like, people keep comparing it to Deion. I think the difference between Bill and Deion is like Deion doesn't recruit for real. Like, he doesn't get in the helicopter and really. Deion's whole mantra is, "I'm not hard to find." Now he'll go get a Jordan Seaton. But Bill Belichick is actually recruiting, like, at these high schools, building relationships with the coaches. I get that Bill Belichick is a big name for the diehards like me and you. But to the average person, if Bill Belichick walks into your grandma's living room, they may not recognize him. Deion, on the other hand, like, everybody knows Deion. But I feel Bill Belichick is a little bit more dedicated to building his program, the way you're supposed to build it.
Yeah, I think what you're going to see out of North Carolina is the total opposite of what you saw with Colorado, and that way they'll have sustained success too. Like at Colorado, man, it was kind of a shit show the way they brought in all the rappers. So here's my thing, and I worked with somebody recently that was from Colorado, and I said, give me the population percentage of Caucasian to African Americans in Boulder, Colorado. And he's like, it's like 70-30. I'm just telling you.
Black, white.
Yep. And I was like, dang, that's a huge percentage. And so you look at their games now, sold out stadium. None of this ever happened, even when Joel Klatt was playing, even when Cordell Stewart was playing. Like, let's be real. And it's because of Deion, and that's great. Like they're selling tickets, whatever. Bill Belichick, on the other hand, is going to be like a military school. Like it's gonna be all about business. We ain't gonna have the rappers here. It's gonna be what we saw with the Patriots all over
Straight
again.
business.
But they can't escape. The only thing that you can do is enter the transfer portal or quit.
Yeah.
You can't ask for more money. They renegotiating contracts in the middle of the season. This is what Bill couldn't have done before. And now he can just focus on, like, we got the NIL stuff knocked out the way at the beginning of the season. We're practicing now, straight football up until college, up until the playoff. That's what's going to be a little different. So I'm kind of excited to see that for sure.
Yeah.
We're going to come back to Colorado, but real quick, where do we rank Marcus Freeman amongst current coaches? He's top 5 right now. He's proved it.
I got Ryan Day. I got Kirby. I got Dabo. I got DeBoer. I got Sark. I probably got him around 6 or 7.
Yeah. I have him over Sark right now. I probably have Sark at 6, only because Marcus got to a national national championship, and he's improved every year that he's been a coach, and he's always been
He
at a
also
high
did
level.
what Brian Kelly couldn't.
That is straight facts, bro. Brian,
facts.
With how long Kelly was there and how short like Freeman was, like, and like we said, every single year he's gotten, better and better. And then you look over at LSU, who's like slow. I don't want to say declining, but it's like not the standards of what they had with Coach O.
Yeah, I still hate all that. I wish Coach O could have stayed around a little bit longer. He had them boys rolling. I would have liked to see what his recruiting class would have looked like after that, but he was just too much of a distraction at the time. Them kids didn't need that. All right, last thing before we get out of here, we talked about Colorado for a little bit, and one of the things I wanted to discuss with you, and we talked about this guy at nauseam the last time that we talked, and that was Caden Salter coming over from Liberty. And by all regards, it looks like he's won that job. He's got that team rolling, just like we thought. Like, no slight to Juju Lewis, but the pedigree of a Caden Salter coming into your program is way different. And I think Colorado is going to have the most success under Deion Sanders that they've had since he's been there. Like year 3, they might win the Big 12, and a big part of it is because of Caden Salter.
You see, like, and I want to believe that. The only issue is they got a way tougher schedule now. They got to play Iowa State, who brings back mostly everybody from last year, and they got to play Arizona State as well. Utah should bounce back. I believe this is the year Colorado definitely can make it to the CFP, but I still don't know if I like Deion. I think he's proved that he's not just a gimmick coach like how a lot of folks thought. He is a legit coach, but I still got to see what that defensive line and O-line is looking like, because when you keep rotating a lot of new bodies on that O-line in college football, like when they lost Cash Cleveland or they didn't offer him a scholarship, I thought that was a major L, because the best O-lines in college football – like the best O-lines in college football are the ones that have a lot of returning production. And the only returning starter they have from last year really is Jordan Seaton. So I still got to see how they look. I'm not really high on Pat Shurmur neither, but I do like their defensive coordinator, who was the Bengals DBs coach. We saw how their secondary play dropped off. Like, I think Caden Salters right now is the best quarterback in the Big 12. I just think that it's just a few other components that I have to see. But I do agree they can win the Big 12. And, ESPN will love to see Deion Sanders in the play. Could you imagine first round of playoffs, we get Deion versus Bill Belichick?
Man, that would be insane.
That'd be pretty crazy.
They'd find a way. Okay, we would be all three of us would have to meet up on the last rankings that they do before the CFP, because I can hear us collectively say collusion in the rankings that week if they match up North Carolina and Colorado.
That's the only time I wouldn't be mad if they actually rigged it, though. I would love to see that. Like, that would be
Everybody would.
great television.
Everybody.
Or if you gave me a Colorado versus, I don't want to. I want to see Colorado if they make it to the playoffs against a team they got an actual shot of competing with. Because even Oregon this year is like Colorado. The Big 12 still is at a disadvantage, But it's like I would kill to see a Deion Sanders versus Bill Belichick first round playoff game.
The only thing I'll say about that illegal immigrant, the reason why I don't think that's a hot take from JT saying that Salter's better than Levitt is because Jordan Tyson. There's no Jordan Tyson on Colorado. So when we look at what Kaidon Salter has done every single time that he's been out there for a team, name his wide receivers. Every single time you look at the stat sheet, it's Kaidon Salter doing it on the ground and in the air. So I believe it'll be more of that. I think people severely hate on him, man, for whatever reason.
Yeah, you bring it year last season.
Yeah, they lost a lot too. They lost a lot. But I just feel like Kaidon Salter, man, the skill set that he has coming off a down season, it's almost like a rejuvenation period for him, and then having to prove himself again against the 5-star kid that's got everything right now, and Juju almost assuming that he was going to have the position. And I don't know if you've seen the videos that Colorado's come out with. I wanted to see how his demeanor was versus like Shedeur and everything. He comes into practice talking to everybody. He's very vocal. You didn't see Shedeur like that last year. This is a totally different dynamic. And Marshall Faulk, this is how I knew that he was a real deal. Marshall Faulk and Warren Sapp speak very highly of Kaidon. Like, it's I didn't hear Warren. I heard Warren Sapp say, yeah, he's him, blah, blah, blah. But they talk in detail about Kaidon and what he does every single day in practice and things like that. I don't know. I feel very highly that he's going to have a really, really good season. And people are going to be like, if he had Jimmy Horn and Will Shepherd and Travis Hunter,
man, they still got Marion Miller comes back fully, bro. They got a receiver that dominated the highest level of Texas football. He scored he was 5'8", 155 pounds, scored 30 freaking touchdowns.
Yeah, that's nasty work. Yeah, Marion Miller is one of those dudes, man. I love that kid. So
I'm trying to think of the freshman because I want you to check. I want you to check him out before we get up on out of here. Like I want you to check. The dude went from no offers to 30 offers, and he scored freaking 30 touchdowns. In the highest level, 6A Texas, Westlake, Quentin Gibson.
Quentin Gibson. All right, I'm gonna put his name down here.
He scored 30 touchdowns, bro.
Oh wait, this is that kid that Kaidon was talking about. I know exactly who this is.
He is going to be a weapon this year. I believe he could be this year's Jeremiah Smith outside of the boy from Oregon because he's from Texas too.
Yeah. Okay, man. Well, hey, this has been a great show. Talk about Jeremiah Smith real quick, rapid fire. Who's a better duo? Jeremiah Smith or Carnell Tate or Ryan Williams and Isaiah Horton? Who you got having a better season together?
Ryan Williams and Isaiah Horton.
Let's go. I agree with you on that one.
I believe that Ryan Williams and Jeremiah Smith will be the AJ Green, Julio Jones 2.0, but instead you have the second coming of Julio Jones and maybe the closest receiver prospect that we've ever seen to AB, Antonio Brown.
I can't disagree with those comparisons. I've been trying to compare Ryan Williams to somebody. I've just totally taken Antonio Brown out of my but the way that he contorts and does I guess Ryan Williams has a little bit of CeeDee Lamb in him too, because CeeDee Lamb can be like that too. Like with the body control, like he's nasty with it. But I'm sorry, I was in the boat that I like Ryan Williams a little bit better than Jeremiah Smith. I mean, Jeremiah Smith.
I got to see him with a quarterback this year though, because Ryan.
Yeah,
it's just Jeremiah Smith. You're 6'3", 215 at 18 years old, and you can do everything. Like,
but Ryan was 17 last year.
He was. I want to see what he can do with a guy who can actually throw the forward pass this year.
Yeah. So we know Nick Sheridan is on that staff now, and apparently what Ryan had said was like they are starting to not Nick Sheridan, I'm sorry, Ryan Grubbs. Ryan Grubbs is on that staff now, and like they're starting to slide him in the slot and everything now too. I don't know. That might be some crazy work that we might see out of Ryan Williams this year, because like he can do so much, man. He can do so much. Jeremiah Smith equals Larry Fitzgerald. Now did y'all ever see Larry Fitzgerald at Pitt?
I seen some highlights, but
Jeremiah Smith he's like Julio Jones, like you said. He's just so dominant, right? On the outside, up against the pylon, that dude's face is in the dirt, and he's in the air catching.
And he can move after the catch. Like with Julio, I feel that he was good after the catch, but bro, Jeremiah Smith,
yeah, for sure. JT, what kind of season do you think Dane Key can have at Nebraska?
Oh yeah, I know you're a Nebraska fan, boy. I got a video coming out about how Dane Key was the most underrated transfer portal pickup in the Big Ten, bro. Those Kentucky NIL killed Kentucky, bro. Like Mark Stoops should have took another job while he had the chance, bro. It's so many.
He did the Tom Coughlin with the Jaguars. He just let everybody go.
Yeah, bro. They couldn't pay him, and then the good guys they had, they underutilized. Dane Key will be the best receiver that Nebraska has had since, I don't know the last time Nebraska put a good receiver in the league, but Dane Key is going to be a monster. He's going to be better than what you had at receiver last year for sure. I know you had Isaiah Nayer. He was a little bit of a disappointment. Dane Key is an elite deep threat. Him and Dylan Raiola with that arm. Yeah, Nebraska's a dark horse team this year. They talking about Illinois. Yeah. You know what Matt Rule does in year 3?
Yep. And Dylan Raiola's in year 2. So the freshman jitters are out the way. Dude, I've never seen two quarterbacks like him and DJ Lagway show up like they're fifth-year seniors with their size. Like, them dudes are, I was like, damn, they're freshmen?
Bryce Underwood.
Bryce Underwood,
2'8" at 17? What are they giving these kids?
I don't know, but I clearly didn't get it.
When I was at the Elite 11, seeing some of the size of some of them dudes, man, I was like, Jesus Christ, who's tackling you, fam, at quarterback? Because I remember some of the kids that I played with, that was tiny. I played against Tavon Austin, and he was short. Oh yeah, we don't even want to talk about Tavon Austin.
We don't mention that in this household.
Yeah, the sleep paralysis demon known as Tavon Austin.
I've already planned. I was like, I'm gonna tell his kids and be like, hey, yo, walk up to your dad and start talking about Tavon Austin.
Nah, we can't do that. But Tavon was, I mean, he was like 5'8", like 160 pounds, soaking wet in high school. But the things that he did, he was just so talented. But I could just imagine like Bryce Underwood, and I'm like some undersized linebacker trying to tackle him. Man, he's shoving me off like, fuck off of me, kid.
Yeah, bro. They got some real grown men.
Yeah, it's crazy work. Hey, JT, we appreciate it, man. We got to hook back up here in the middle of the season or sooner than that. I know you got a lot of stuff going on. Like you said, you split your channel out to college and NFL, going to keep your main channel. So if everybody can, link is in the description. Go ahead and hit JT up, subscribe to his channel. Yes. Go follow his videos, man. The dude pumps out as many videos as we do, if not more. So
I appreciate you guys for having me on, bro. I love talking ball with y'all tonight.
Yeah, man. Yeah, for sure. Likewise. All right, chat. We're gonna get out of here. I will see y'all tomorrow I forgot what the lineup is tomorrow, but I think I only got one show tomorrow. But we're gonna go ahead and get into it. Appreciate you guys. Thanks to JT for joining us, and we'll talk to you guys later.